I'm Holly Bamford, the Chief Conservation Officer for the National Fish and Wildlife Foundation. The foundation is the largest private conservation grant maker in the nation. But what does grant making really mean? Actually, it is quite complicated. All those grants, more than 20,000 since our founding in 1984, benefit wildlife and people across the United States. And every single grant has one thing in common. They are all administered at NFWF headquarters in Washington, D.C. Oh, and those folks right there, they are the grant administrators and coordinators. Once the funding comes in, it immediately moves into the grant system to fund individual projects on the ground. We award hundreds of millions of dollars in grants each year on a competitive basis. And somebody needs to coordinate each and every one. That is where our grant administrators and coordinators come in.
Am I supposed to just look straight into the camera?
Yeah. I'm Christopher Gross. I work at the National Fish and Wildlife Foundation.
I'm the Coastal Resilience Program Coordinator for our Marine team, and I'm from New Orleans, Louisiana.
Northwest Indiana.
Ridgefield, Connecticut.
I am from Ukraine.
Houston, Texas.
Arlington, Virginia.
And I'm from Greenville, South Carolina. One more time.
Ups the pressure.
NFWF grant administrators and coordinators work with conservation experts, scientists, and of course, our grantees to ensure that conservation funding flows to the most impactful projects. Much of this work takes place behind the scenes, in an office, far from the forests, grasslands, and wetlands where conservation projects actually unfold. They spend a lot of time in front of computers, on the phone, and in many, many meetings. But every once in a while, they get a chance to head out into the field and monitor a grant in action. Grant number 62804, Lancaster, Pennsylvania. Yep, that's exactly what you think. The goal? To restore a streamside forest and help dairy farmers create buffer zones that keeps livestock out of streams and manure from degrading water quality.
We know we're going to have agriculture. We know we're going to have development. When the manure is running down, a hill, if there's only grasses, in the way, it's not going to be able to filter things out. Or if it's, cropland or bare soil, even less. But if we just put a little bit of a buffer around the stream itself, it can take care of itself.
Grant number 66366. The background? 100 years ago, nearly all the old-growth trees in the upper Greenbrier River watershed of West Virginia were cut.
This will not be a safe spot very much longer.
Battered by increasing erosion, loss of shade, and now with no old trees to fall over into the river and create habitat, native brook trout were nearly wiped out.
I have a handful of this for a female brook trout. That's gold because that's where she wants to lay her eggs. But she can't do it if it's just one here and one there and one there. They all have to be in the same spot so she can go build her nest. And we get happier brook trout mamas and we get more brook trout babies.
Right. 50 years Southbridge has been dealing with flooding. 50. You want to get through, baby?
Wilmington, Delaware. Grant number 62496. The question? Can you really reduce flooding by turning a heavily degraded urban wetland into a thriving habitat?
Find a way to clean up a contaminated brownfield and turn it into a wetland. Who does that? Usually you put a parking lot over it, and instead we remediated it and allowed the wildlife and the natural ecosystem to live in what used to be contaminated soil.
And finally, Grant 57550. The Pamunkey Indian tribe has been losing critical shoreline every year.
Right through there is where the clay bank, where we would dig our clay. We've been doing that for hundreds of years.
Would that have been land?
Yeah, it's a big difference. It used to be, all that used to be land.
The goal? Fight back and reverse the erosion by planting native species. Here in our nation's capital, NFWF staff work with grantees to monitor project metrics and measure real-world outcomes for wildlife. And what amazing outcomes! Since our founding in 1984, the projects supported by NFWF have generated a total conservation impact of $7.4 billion. And the best part is, we did it together. Individuals, government agencies, nonprofits, and corporations. Every NFWF conservation project starts as a grant, and every grant starts with funding. Our goal is always get those funds on the ground with speed, efficiency, and expertise. Because what is our mission?
The National Fish and Wildlife Foundation is dedicated to sustaining,
restoring, and enhancing
the nation's fish, wildlife,
plants, and habitats.
Preparing future generations!